If you're taking any advice from anyone, let it not be him. Let it be somebody else, honey. Because Little Duval, truly, okay, anyways. So Little Duval took to his Instagram page, or whatever the fuck, to make this announcement. Why is it that women can say she don't like short dudes and it's okay, but when a man says he don't like dark-skinned women or fat bitches, he's a fucked up person? All right. So here's a big topic. Because, listen, for a lot of you, I'm sure you read that and thought, well, he might have a point. Here's why Little Duval doesn't have a fucking point. He doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. Okay. Now, that's one of them old-time sayings, okay? That's how you know, bitch. That's how you know you is getting old, when you start saying shit like that. Okay, anyways, Lil Duval. So, I think that there's a clear difference between preferences and things that are anti-black or anti-woman or anti-gay or anti-whatever. Oh, I prefer women with long hair. I prefer women with short hair. I prefer women who are, shorter. I prefer women who are taller. I prefer bigger butts. I prefer bigger titties. Whatever it is, I don't care. Here's the gag. The gag about all of that is that at the end of the day, preferences are fine. Anything that causes you to be anti. So I'm fine with you not preferring a black woman or preferring a dark-skinned woman, not preferring, whatever it is. I think it's important. Oh, excuse me. I think it's important for us to all check ourselves when it comes to what we deem as preferences and what we deem as like anti anything. So there are things that I can't change about myself. I can't change my height. I could change my skin complexion, but why should I? I am milk chocolate that melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Get into it. I could fix my teeth. I could get a wig. I could do all kinds of stuff. I can't change my skin complexion. You know what I mean? And if you aren't attracted to me because of my skin complexion, I feel like that's okay. I'm not for everyone. And it doesn't bother me that you are not preferentially attracted to dark-skinned women. I think the thing that bothers me is there a tone of anti-blackness there? Is there a tone of, you know what, I am against this person because she's got more African features or whatever the case is? I think that you have to check yourself on that. Do you have a racial bias or do you have a preference? Because there's a difference. I think that what Little Duval was alluding to was preferences versus ideologies. And anytime we hold on to an ideology, we know that that is nothing but the devil who has come to kill, steal, and destroy. Ideologies are basically thoughts that we stand under that don't necessarily have its place rooted in truth. There's no truth to the fact that darker skinned women are less attractive. There's no truth to the fact that shorter men are less attractive. There's just no truth to it. Now, if you want to say, oh, I prefer a guy who is taller, that's fine. You're not anti-height? Like, that's not a thing, But I don't know. I just feel like the whole idea of getting with, oh, I am anti-anything, it's weird to me, especially when it's like anti your own race. It's weird. It's weird. Is it not weird? You do agree. I know you do. And in other news this week, Starbucks, they had a little kerfuffle out there in Arizona. So on July the 4th in Tempe, Arizona, 6 cops casually walked in and they got themselves some coffee and they hung out in the Starbucks. Well, a patron felt very uncomfortable with their presence. Mind you, this is 6 white cops just enjoying their fucking cup of joe, right? And so, because the patron expressed their uncomfortability with the cops being in the Starbucks, a Starbucks employee then asked the cops to, if they could possibly stand by the door or stand outside the view of this patron. The patron didn't feel like that was enough, so the Starbucks employee then asked the cops to leave. Now, I know what you're thinking. Fuck that shit. They need to leave. Fuck them niggas. They don't deserve shit. Now, here's why you're wrong. You're wrong because just like we deserve the opportunity to sit wherever we are and enjoy our cup of joe. So what is it? The next time you are in a regular store and someone is uncomfortable with your presence, can they just ask that you be removed? Starbucks has since issued an apology, which in part read, "We apologize to those patrons for their experience." And that was pretty much it. That's all they had to say. Now, I love Starbucks just as much as the next one, but I feel like that one day of sensitivity training might not have been a lot. Listen, if the patron was so uncomfortable, I don't know. Am I the only one who feels this way? I just feel like unless they were doing menacing acts to the patron, I just find it weird that they were asked to leave. At any rate, Starbucks issued their apology. So what do you guys think about that? I think it's weird. I think it's weird that we are living in a world where you could just be asked to leave somewhere because someone else is uncomfortable with your presence because of your job. You know, you don't necessarily have enough information at that point to say, you know what, they are racist. They are killers. Now, Arizona has definitely had its fair share of racial bias incidents with their cops, like most American cities. But I definitely feel like the world that we're living in today, it is too easy for people to kind of jump on the bandwagon of voicing their distaste with something and just, okay, it needs to go away. Does that make sense? I don't know. But, so let's get to the good news, because, girl, please. So Halle Bailey of the group Chloe and Halle, she got the role of Ariel in the new Little Mermaid. That's exciting, right? Yay. Now, listen, I'm not going to front like everybody else. When I first heard it, I was like, really? Now, if you remember, actually, Lindsay Lohan had tried to come for our girl Zendaya during the Met Gala earlier on this summer in May, because as you recall, Zendaya was wearing a beautiful dress designed by Tommy Hilfiger, and she was dressed as the young story icon Cinderella. And Lindsay Lohan decided to comment on it, saying basically Claire Danes had already done that look, and that Claire Danes did it better, and that Lindsay Lohan needed to have a seat. And that Zendaya needed to have a seat. And Zendaya, because she's a classy broad, did not respond. However, Claire Danes did respond, and I believe at the time Claire Danes said that she thought Zendaya looked beautiful, and she basically had nothing terrible to say. Now, it was alleged that Lindsay was coming for Zendaya because Zendaya was also up for the part of Ariel in The Little Mermaid. So, basically, that was the story. Now, I had believed up until that point that Zendaya was going to be playing Ariel. So when I heard that Halle had gotten the part, instantly I thought to myself, that has got to be Beyonce's doing. And I'm not the only one who thought that. I know you guys did. As you recall, earlier on this week, Beyonce has been featured in several Instagram advertisements as well as online advertisements of her playing Nala in Lion King, which is coming very soon, and I cannot wait to see it. But the gag is that it's almost like we can't even allude to the idea of Beyonce helping Halle get this part. Does that make sense? I've heard several people say it kind of like jokingly, but not even wanting to say it in real life because they don't even want to make it seem like there's a possibility that Beyonce helped Halle get this part. Now, here I am to ask you, what is so fucking wrong with her helping her to get this part? Isn't this the shit that we talk about all the time? Isn't this it? Isn't this the shit that even Tyler Perry talked about at the BET Awards? Reaching out to hold a hand to one another? Listen, white people do it all the fucking time. Other people do it all the time. What's the stigma with black people not wanting to admit that they're helping each other? It's like a full-on thing, you guys. It's like a full-on thing. Let's be real. When any of you heard, oh, excuse me, I hope my braids weren't rubbing against this mic. When anybody heard that Halle had gotten that part, it's not that she's not talented and beautiful. She is going to make the most exquisite Ariel. And I really do hope that they let her wear her dreads and they just dye it red. Oh, nothing would tickle my fancy more. Okay? If Ariel had dreads, oh, girl, I live. But come on, let's think about it. How many times have you been put in a position where you could help another person of color, but decided, you know what? I'm not going to do it because no one helped me, and I had to work so hard to get what I got, and I ain't helping nobody because shit, all of us got to pick ourselves up by the bootstrap. But if you've happened to gotten a seat at the table, why not hold a place for your brother or your sister? Honestly, think about that. You know, one of the reasons why, and this is going to be a little bit of a moment for us, so come in close. One of the reasons why I named this podcast A Seat at the Table, there is the obvious reasons. I'm a huge Solange fan. I would even, not that I have to declare my allegiance to one or the other, but I feel like I have a penchant for, mood-wise, for being more of a Solange girl than a Beyonce girl. I love them both. I can't even believe that they're from the same place and they've got that much talent. They are creative forces. So when Solange released the album A Seat at the Table, I was oh my God, I'm not getting emotional. You're getting emotional. I was moved to call this podcast A Seat at the Table because I felt like that album was the embodiment of all of the creative things that I would want to say, but couldn't say. I also felt like there is something to be said with being able to have a seat. And not for the obvious reasons, because, you get a seat at the table, and that's fantastic. Everyone wants a seat at the table to voice their opinion and to even be known that, hey, I matter, right? But I think that there's something even more special about having a seat at the table. When I think about my life and I think about all the places that I've been and all the things that I've gone through, stillness has been one of the overarching themes in my spiritual journey. And I know that oftentimes we tell each other, hey, have a seat. bitch, you need to have several seats. It's